Hi, I'm Heidi Zamora, costume show manager at Seattle Opera, and today we're going to talk about fabrics. As you know, we use fabrics to make all of those beautiful costumes that you see on our stage at the Seattle Opera. And there are many, many different types of fabrics, and different types of fabrics do different things. The way fabrics are generally categorized are by the fiber, or what it's made out of, and the weave, or how it is made. When we talk about the fiber content of fabrics, we first have to group fabrics into two main categories: naturals and synthetics. Examples of natural fibers are silks, cottons, wools, linens. These are things that are found in nature. And things like polyester or nylon, those are synthetic fibers that are chemically produced. So some of the advantages of a synthetic fiber is that they are durable, they're cheap. You find a lot of synthetic fibers in commercially made clothing for that reason. At the Seattle Opera, we use almost exclusively natural fibers for several reasons. They tailor well, they take dye, and they're what we call self-extinguishing when they catch fire. So a synthetic fabric will sort of melt when it catches fire, and a natural fiber just sort of burns in ashes, and it's easier for us to flame-proof something like that, which is a safety consideration when we have performers on stage with torches and candles. So that's a way we will sometimes test fabric to see what the fiber content is. If we want to know if we can dye it or not, we'll do a little burn test. So this fabric just melts when you burn it, whereas the silk will burn and ash. And they also have a very different smell. So an experienced dyer can tell you exactly what the fiber content of a fabric is by burning it and just seeing what color the ash is and what the smell is. When a fabric is woven, the threads that are strung vertically on a loom are called the warp threads. And the threads that weave back and forth through those threads are called the weft. Now, you can have a plain weave fabric, which many fabrics are. You might have a satin weave. This is satin, and that's when the weft threads leave long floats or long threads on top, and that's what creates that shine. You can have a twill weave, which sort of weaves in a bit of a diagonal pattern. Denim is a twill weave, and that's a very strong weave. You can have a pile weave. Velvet is an example of a pile weave, and that's when the threads are left kind of long loops and then they're cut. And you can also have a brocade or a jacquard weave. This is a silk jacquard. And that's when the threads are woven together to create a pattern. Some of our favorite fabrics that we use at the Seattle Opera are silk chiffon, which is very light and diaphanous, a Duchess satin, which has a shine to it, but has got sort of a nice crisp body to it. We often use silk crepe, which has a matte finish but still drapes beautifully. We will sometimes use herringbone wools that have sort of a nice tweedy quality to them with some texture. Laces. Lace is something else that gives us a lot of texture and a lot of bang for our buck. And cotton coutil is another common fabric you'll see in our costume shop. It's not very fancy, but we use this in corsets and for the lining of bodices because it is very strong. When we help a costume designer at the Seattle Opera choose fabrics for a production, we sometimes will order directly from a fabric wholesaler. And we have some swatch cards from different wholesalers that tell us what kind of fabrics they make and what kind of colors we can get those fabrics in. Sometimes if we're looking for a more specialty fabric, we might have an assistant send us some swatches directly from the special fabric stores in New York City or LA, and then we'll organize those on these swatch cards and review those with the designer. Once we've chosen and ordered a fabric, we'll put it into the show's swatch Bible. And that tells us exactly what fabric we're using for which costume piece and where we can get more if we happen to run out.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support of Seattle Opera.